biggest red eyes.
There's a 6-foot bird and massive wings.
And I asked her how big the wingspan was. She said about 10 to 12 feet.
Is Point Pleasant haunted?
Yes, very much.
I'm here in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the little Appalachian town with a big monster history. It's home to one of America's most notorious legends, Mothman. Described as a humanoid creature with massive wings and glowing red eyes, this man with wings was first spotted in this area in the 1960s and has been a fixture of life in Point Pleasant ever since. The monster is a perfect example of iconic modern American folklore. There's even a Mothman statue in the middle of downtown. Hi. It speaks to the idea that this really is modern folklore. It came from this town. Like, we're staking this spot in this part of the world as Mothman. So they're really uniting Mothman and Point Pleasant and West Virginia. On December 15th, 1967, this paranormal activity culminated in a very real tragedy, the collapse of Silver Bridge. Some claimed Mothman was the cause of the accident. Others say he was actually meant to forewarn the town of the catastrophe. But how do you explain the Mothman phenomenon? Was it an elaborate hoax, or did people simply mistake something real for an imaginary creature? Or maybe it was something truly so bizarre that it just can't be easily explained. I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and this is Monstrum. On November 12, 1966, in Clendenin, West Virginia, 5 gravediggers claimed to have seen what they describe as a man with wings, gliding over their heads. Eyewitness Kenneth Duncan later said the being was gliding through the trees and was in sight for about a minute. But it was here where Mothman became a legend. I'm at the spot of what is widely believed to be the earliest officially reported Mothman sighting, what used to be the West Virginia Ordnance Works munitions plant, better known as the TNT area. On November 15, 1966, 2 young married couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, were driving around the TNT area when they reportedly spotted what looked like a man with large wings standing in the middle of the road. Steve described the creature as being 6 or 7 feet tall, with a 10-foot wingspan and red eyes, about 2 inches in diameter and 6 inches apart. Linda claimed she couldn't see a head or arms, but also saw glowing red eyes when the car headlights hit the figure, who seemed to shy away from the light. Frightened, they quickly sped away from the figure, but shortly after, while traveling along Route 62, they spotted it again. This time, it followed them. They claimed they couldn't shake the creature, even when the car reached speeds as fast as 100 miles an hour. This is Denny Bellamy, the Mason County Visitors Bureau Executive Director. Denny has lived in the Point Pleasant, Mason County area for over 60 years.
I was in the 3rd grade. My neighbors saw it, said there's a 6-foot bird with big red eyes and massive wings, chasing cars in the TNT, and in fact, it kept up with Roger Scarberry's 57 Chevy. It's right on this road. This road, as you can see, is like a drag strip. And that's what Roger Scarberry was doing out here, was drag racing. There were scratch marks on the ceiling of his car, and he was upset and he was scared.
Shaken by the experience, the group drove straight to the sheriff's office to file a report around 2 a.m. that morning. Officers immediately set out to investigate. But by the time they arrived at the TNT site, no evidence of the creature could be found. I'm here at the Point Pleasant Public Library doing some research, looking through their archive. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm super excited to explore. This is a copy of the original Point Pleasant register of the first Mothman sighting. Wednesday, November 16th, so that would have been the morning after. Couple sees man-sized bird, creature, something. Well, there's drawings. Scarsberry eyewitness sketch of Mothman, verified by others. One of the original eyewitnesses. Both were slightly pale and tired from lack of sleep during the night following their harrowing experience. If I had seen it while by myself, I wouldn't have said anything, but there were 4 of us who saw it. They speculated that the thing was living in the vacant power plant, possibly in one of the huge boilers. There are pigeons in all the other buildings, but not in that one. This is new info. I love finding new info. I really do.
This was a top secret government facility. They made all the explosives for the atomic bomb. It employed all the people from the town. You would come to work here onto a bus that all the windows were blacked out of, so you couldn't see anything of the facility. And they drove you right to where you were working. You did your job. You got back on the bus, and they never saw anything. And the day we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, they closed the facility. That was it. They were done. We're going to go look at the bunkers that give the TNT area its name. It's where they stored the explosives, the TNT and the nitroglycerin.
Ooh, it's creepy.
This is where they stored explosives, and when we first started bringing people out here, there were still rusted cans of gunpowder.
So here's definitely some Mothman graffiti. I mean, we have the humanoid structure, we have the wings, the big, you can see 2 large eyes. Yes, Mothman. I grew up in forests, but there's something about the abandoned building and the legends and the real history that there's a spooky vibe. I mean, it's honestly really, really creepy. We're walking into one of the buildings that used to be part of the TNT site. So we're gonna go in, we have no idea what's inside. It's pitch black. Let's see what happens. Okay, I don't know how far back it goes. Look at these cool lights. It's small, it's really dark. And I don't know what it was used for, and there's stuff everywhere. Definitely looks like it could be haunted, especially by the workers who used to be here, you never know. Ooh, and I just kicked something. Okay. Now I'm more creeped out now that I've been in that building.
I haven't lost a film crew yet, but you never know out here.
Over the following 3 days after the November 15th sighting, at least 8 more people reported similar creatures.
My brother said, well, don't look, but there's something there beside the car. If I'd rolled my window down, I just could have touched it. And then it jumped on the hood and just sat there and just squatted kind of and looked at us. But it did have the biggest red eyes, and it run right past the car, and it jumped up in the air and just opened up the biggest pretty set of bird wings, because you could see the feathers in it and everything. Just opened them up and just went off in the night like that.
For 1 year, starting in November 1966, over 100 eyewitnesses reported accounts of the Mothman in this area. Almost all agreed on the same points. The monster was as large, or is larger than a big man. It had wings but no feathers, and took off into the air straight like a helicopter, gliding through the sky. Its face was indistinguishable besides 2 large, glowing red eyes. The town's population was so intrigued by the creature that hundreds of local residents, some armed, went hunting for the winged figure.
There was a police officer directing traffic. There was so much traffic out here. One of the sheriff's deputies had to come out.
Newspapers are often the first indicators of an emerging legend. They help rumors become lore as more variations are published and told to the public. Mothman was no exception. He even received his famous title from an anonymous Ohio newspaper copy editor, who likely gave the mysterious bird the name Mothman after the famous comic book character Batman, who was the subject of a popular TV show at the time. Later that month, the Beckley Herald-Dispatch renamed the Mothman as the Mason Bird Monster, but that didn't quite stick. Were the Mothman eyewitnesses in the 1960s really seeing a monster? Some people certainly saw something in the night sky. The sheer number of sightings might be an example of the psychological and social phenomenon known as mass hysteria. The textbook definition of mass hysteria says it is a form of mass contagion in which an irrational belief or behavior grips a group or community. The size of a small town like Point Pleasant offered a unique social environment. Residents either had a Mothman story themselves or knew someone who did, which allowed the story to circulate in a relatively closed inner network that could bolster the belief in the creature. What is undoubtedly very real is the event that stopped the Mothman sightings of the 19th before it collapsed. Some even say they saw Mothman on the bridge days before. This is really where the myth of the Mothman as a harbinger of death started. Was he a warning to the townspeople, or a cursed being bringing destruction with him? Some people speculated that Mothman and the bridge collapse had something to do with a rumored legend known as the Curse of Cornstalk. A Shawnee leader of the allied indigenous people, Chief Cornstalk and his men fought in the Battle of Point Pleasant against colonial troops in 1774. Local legend in Point Pleasant said that with his dying breath, Cornstalk cursed the town for 200 years. Some people even speculated that the Mothman was sent by Cornstalk himself from beyond the grave. But in 2006, it was revealed that the rumored Curse of Cornstalk was nothing more than a myth. A rediscovered historical pageant play was found in an old grade school in Point Pleasant that includes Cornstalk's curse. Most likely, the playwright added it in to give the performance a little more drama.
And the energies of its people paralyzed by the stain of our blood. So saying, he fell dead by the side of his son. There's the curse.
Maybe the Mothman sightings can be explained by something from the natural world. It was proposed early on that the Mothman was actually a sandhill crane, when a West Virginia University professor told the press in an article published December 1st, 1966, quote, "I definitely believe that's what these people are seeing."
This is the sandhill crane. Dr. Robert Smith of the West Virginia University Biology Department said the description fits that of a sandhill crane.
Sandhill cranes have an average wingspan of around 6.5 feet and are about 3 to 4 feet tall. They also happen to have red patches around their eyes. But Dr. Z, you may be wondering, do sandhill cranes ever make it to West Virginia? The answer is yes. Because I am a crazy bird person and this Mothman thing was driving me insane, I contacted the Cornell Lab of Ornithology for sandhill crane data from the 1960s. While they couldn't give me anything from that time period, I did find that sightings of sandhill cranes happen today. At least 28 of them have been spotted in West Virginia between January 2017 and August 2019, sometimes in large groups. Brenda Knight, the sister-in-law of one of the November 15 witnesses, said, quote, "We all thought it was a mutant sandhill crane because of the toxins in the swamp." Maybe Brenda was onto something. She wasn't the only one to think that illegally dumped chemicals had caused animal mutations. The munitions plant that gave the TNT area its name was built during World War II to produce and store explosives from 1942 to 1945.
Boom, hello, check. We are live. Wait, am I double live right now? I think I am. Wait, check. No, I'm only single live. Hey, what's going on, gang? What's going on, Goblin Gang? Goblins, goblets. I don't know. So the female version of a goblin. Hope everyone's doing well. We're here. We're ready to go. Got some people in the chat. Shout out to Skeletino 420. Demiton. What's going on? We just watched a little bit of a documentary from Storied. This is the Storied YouTube channel. I like to shout out YouTube channels when I play them on the stream, so I don't seem like I'm just exploiting them or whatever. Yes, Gobthays. Yes, absolutely. Danny Toluca. Gobthays as well, the non-binary goblins. But yeah, this is like a 1 million subscriber YouTube account. So it doesn't feel as important, but it's good. I mean, they do like little monster documentaries. It's fun. If you like cryptids, check it out. Hannah, what's going on? Finally got to make a stream. And if you do like cryptids and documentaries about cryptid related things anyway, then you'll be psyched to hear about the new documentary, Mothman, the film that never was. This is we are actually privileged to have with us today as our guest. This is Commendable Commotion, or His government name is Matthew. Sorry, Matthew. Sorry, I just realized I had you muted on Discord. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry, I have you. Hang on one second. Mute. I think you're muted, Matthew. Could you unmute yourself maybe? Is that? Can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay, yeah. I see the microphone with the line through it on your
sorry.
There you go. Yep, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
No worries. Hey, listen. This is an ancient tradition for my streams that my the first like 10 minutes are audio issues. So no, we're good. Just following the tradition. Okay. I got to rearrange my thing. Would you be? So you're on your phone, yeah? Well, would you be able to tilt your phone sideways so you get the?
Sure.
There you go. Oh, okay. For some reason that's still. Oh wait, I think I know how to fix it. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Cool. We got it figured out. We got it sorted. But yeah, so we've got this little mic is crossed out. No, we're good now. Awesome, everybody. Shouts out David Bowie. Yeah.
Is this angle okay? I'm trying to just find a little thing to put the phone on so that I don't have to, but I could do it like this, but that might be a bit inconvenient for you, wouldn't it? But we'll see.
It's a little odd. Was it easier before when you had it sideways? You can do it like that if you like.
You sure?
Yeah. Try it again because I was just trying to figure out how to make it work. Actually, that's fine. It's just automatically kind of punched in on your face there, so you're good. I can actually.
Oh, wait, is this okay?
Yep, that's perfect. I'm gonna rearrange it a little bit, but yeah. So Matthew, sorry, would you prefer I call you Matthew or Commendable Commotion or Matt or come?
Matt.
Presumably
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, but Matthew is fine. But Commendable Commotion's the name of the Substack that people can find the film on. Just in case, Yeah.
Cool. So that's not like what your name. That's your Substack's name. Okay. Cool. Good to know. So you've released.
Don't worry. My parents did not name me Commendable Commotion. Right. Don't worry. That'd be that'd be very strange.
It's funny because like a lot of times I'll go and do like. Oh, I mean, I don't do this a lot, but whenever I do like other things as Chill Goblin, like my name's James, and I am used to being called James in my everyday non-YouTube life, but like everybody just calls me Chill or like Goblin or whatever, and it's cool, but it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit odd at first. I think I've gotten used to it.
It can happen.
It can totally happen. You'll have people calling you like Commendable or whatever. Where did that name come from? Commendable Commotion.
I think initially, and this was a while back, I was kind of just thinking, okay, well, let's try and make it about topics that need more attention maybe or something, and so have a bit of commotion for the topic and make it commendable because there'll be a lot of people talking about it. But then it kind of the focus of the Substack, which has a podcast element to it and a movie element, all these different things like this one, it's sort of these days about the blend between true crime and the creative arts. That's what it's about. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
That's really.
So that's kind of where
So you're sort of like from what I know about your stuff. So I've seen your new Mothman movie, which is available, by the way, on your Substack as of right now. Like you just uploaded it, or
I am 99% finished uploading, just adding a nice little thumbnail. So that's literally all I've left, I think. I've never uploaded a paywalled thing before. Everything on my Substack is free. This movie will just be for $5 monthly subscribers. That's all. That's the only paywalled thing.
I love that. Let me throw a link to your Substack in the chat here. Where did I put it? Oh, geez. Could you throw me a link? Actually, I'm having a hard time finding it right now. It's in the description of this stream, but I see now.
Okay. Do you need me to send you a link over the Discord or over the?
If you want to post it right in the chat, that would be great. But you can send it to me on Discord, and I'll toss it in the chat.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, on the YouTube chat. Yeah, I'll do that now for you.
Yeah. But so yes, so I've heard some of your stuff. Like I think I listened to you on the Farm podcast. You did like a interview there about like
That's right. Yeah.
Princess Diana and like so, like a Kubrick someone who worked with Stanley Kubrick on Eyes Wide Shut, and like so a lot of your stuff sort of is about like the intersection of, as you said, true crime and like the film industry or the creative arts industry in general, I guess. Would you describe it like that?
Sure, yeah, sure. That's pretty much how I describe it. Mysterious things or unsolved things often, tend to involve crime. So those kinds of creepy, strange, or unsolved things in the context of film, literature, that kind of thing. But, I do some other little posts that might not be as strictly about that, but that's what most of them are about. So yeah, that's what it is. That's the kind of vibe it's going for. There are a few other podcasts like that, but not too many. So I kind of thought might be a fresh angle. Really, I haven't seen many. If there is a podcast like that, often it could tend to be sort of a rehash, maybe, of what's previously been said about a creepy story on a film set or something that everyone knows about. So I'm trying to make things as original as possible. So yeah.
Very cool. Very, very interesting. And were you able to find the that link? I got it. Commendablecommotion.substack.com, right?
That should be it, as long as people are able to click it. Will I try putting it in again?
Oh, did you put it in the thing? Oh, you know what? I just realized. I think I have a setting right now. I don't know if it's because I'm like a new channel, like I just started the second channel. Other people aren't able to post links, but I am. So I have posted a clickable link to commendablecommotions.substack. If people want to check out this documentary, $5, just a monthly subscription. You get to watch the documentary there. Do you have a trailer for the documentary by any chance? Maybe we could play?
Yes, of course. There is one on my YouTube channel for Commendable Commotion.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's toss that up here.
Sure. If you look up Mothman, the film that never was, on YouTube, or I can send you a link if you'd prefer that.
I think I just typed in Commendable Commotion. So I got your YouTube channel here. Here we go. Coming September 21st. So yeah, before we get into it, why don't we watch this trailer so people get an idea of what we're in for here. Just 1 second.
Of course. Good idea.
Boom. All right. Everything's all set up. I'm just going to go ahead and before we start, sorry, this is important to me. I'm going to wait, how do I do this? Here we go. Yes, this is important. I need to flip your thing horizontally so that it looks like you're watching the screen. There we go.
Yeah, sure.
You're good. You're good. You don't need to move anything.
Okay.
I just did that all on my end.
Okay.
It was looking like I have you on the right side of the screen and you were facing right, so you were looking off. So I've just kind of mirrored your thing. So now we're both
nice.
Looking at the YouTube thing. So here we go. Coming September 21st, Mothman, the film that never was. Here we go.
You got a lot of heart into this. Now, obviously, we're close to this story, so it means a lot. A lot of that was really emotional to see and some great memories.
This to me, it had a good pace. It has a good pace. And the fact that you're hearing...
Oh, I'm just realizing, so the audio is not coming through on the stream. 1 second. This should fix it. Start over.
You got a lot of heart into this. Now, obviously, we're close to this story, so it means a lot. A lot of that was really emotional to see and some great memories.
This to me, it had a good pace. It has a good pace. And the fact that you're hearing our voices, there's no narration or anything like that. And also, I felt that shift where it goes into the underground, like the mafia. It surprised me a little bit. There's questions I've had. I still didn't know any of those answers until now. We were there for 10 days, and it was a heavy 10 days.
Right. I mean, Doug has an incredible, passionate fan base, and there's a mythology that's been built up about this production. certainly I've been hit many times over the years asking about this movie and how to see this movie, and are there any pictures or so I think that there's an interesting demographic that's already well aware of this that would love to see this.
I mean, you've done a thorough job, and that doesn't go unnoticed. Like, you can tell, you can feel that.
I can't wait to see the finished cut.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. What would you say to those potential viewers out there?
Everyone beware the Mothman.
Okay, so I was a little bit confused by that at first, but so that isn't in the movie, right? That's like something you're showing the people from the movie, right?
Oh, are you talking about the little Zoom call we did?
Yeah. Was that the trailer that I just played?
Oh, sorry, no, that was a little Zoom call I did with some of the crew from the documentary, and they were watching it, and they just shared their reaction afterwards.
Okay, sorry.
But there's a little trailer. It's okay. No, that's all right.
I should have maybe given a little what's the word? Intro to that, but okay, you got a lot of interesting stuff on here. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, so that wasn't really the trailer. That must have been confusing. No, found it. The Mothman, the film that never was, trailer. All right, let's watch this. That was
and so for me it was like a perfect it was like a dream come true. I thought we were
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm new to this. I don't often stream with guests, but I think there's a way that I can also share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. 1 second. Okay. Can you see what I just sent you, Matthew?
Yep, that's the trailer. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's watch this.
And so for me it was like it was like a dream come true. I thought we were going to go make a movie.
We were allowed to play, and so my play was going to be, I'm going to make a movie. I don't know why I decided to shoot it there. I don't know if in my mind I thought that's what filmmakers did, is of course you fly everyone out to Point Pleasant.
What better place to do a movie about Mothman than in the actual town that it happened in? It was just this quaint little town, which was really kind of charming. And then when we came back later to film, that's when we found out that the town, there was more to the town than we had originally thought.
This thin veneer just started getting peeled away layer by layer.
On the shoot, on the set for those 2 weeks was one of the scariest times of my life.
It really, I don't want to say it scarred people, but just revisiting it, I'm sure is scary to a lot of people.
Whoa, what? Okay, that's spooky. That is spooky indeed. Oh, up next, this stream that I'm doing right now. Okay. I don't know if you guys recognize this character
make a
here.
movie. I don't know.
This is Doug. How do you say his name? Doug Tannapel?
Doug Tannapel, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the creator of Earthworm Jim, and you have, I guess, stumbled across this story of a guy who, Doug Tannapel, the creator of Earthworm Jim, wanted to make a movie in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is where the Mothman, I guess, like cryptid legend takes place. And he went there and he had a really horrible time filming, and the film ended up falling apart after shooting. Like they just weren't able to edit it together because of a bunch of unusual things going on during production. And when I was sort of like when I was watching it, I wasn't really sure if this was going to be did they get attacked by the Mothman, or did the cryptids make a appearance? But no, it's actually more of a organized crime situation, or something. There's some sort of intimidation going on. I don't want to spoil the movie or anything, but a very unexpected, unusual kind of confluence of different things, different forces at work here. I guess first of all, my question is how did you sort of find out about all this? How did you get involved in this this world?
Well, how I found out about the actually, can you see me
Yep.
or just check? Oh, okay, right, okay. I can't really see. Oh, never mind. Yeah. So how I got involved, first of all, was just heard about this strange lost horror movie. Was quite intrigued, as many people I'm sure would be, and there were rumors rumbling online about something about the director didn't want to talk about this particular film, didn't want to talk about why he abandoned it, all that kind of thing. It was fascinating stuff. And so it lingered in my mind for several years, actually. And then during the pandemic, for a student newspaper, I decided to maybe start doing a little podcast about the production of this strange lost movie. And then, of course, it grew into something even bigger. It turned into this feature-length documentary. And I interviewed nearly all the cast and crew, including its director, about what happened to this movie. And what they told me just freaked me out. It was totally unexpected.
Totally, yeah, really odd. I was originally very skeptical. I was like, organized crime, mafia in Point Pleasant, West Virginia? What? What? It's less like Mothman and more like Mobman. Maybe that's where Mafia man. I don't know. I'm halfway there to a really clever pun, but I can't quite get it. But West Virginia is not close to, New Jersey or New York or any kind of organized crime. Let me see if I can get a map up here. Here's Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It's just across the river from Ohio. And really far from any kind of major city, right? I mean, I'm Canadian. Maybe I don't have the right view of things. But
I thought from your accent you might be Canadian. Yeah, that's a cool accent there. Yeah, the it is sort of near the what do you call it? The it would be near Pittsburgh, but not that near Pittsburgh. In fact, it'd probably be closer to Columbus, Ohio. But really, long story short,
Columbus, Ohio. Okay,
it's still quite far away though from Columbus. It is a small town in a rural area, a charming, quaint little town, that kind of thing. And so quite out of the way, really, and particularly back then in 1997, when this crew from LA flew over there, drove over there. Some of them did. So who would have thought? I know, but that's unfortunately some people were taking advantage of the town's economic isolation back in the day, in the 90s. Yeah,
so,
and that was.
I was sort of I have a real interest in West Virginia history, oddly enough. Just mostly the Coal Wars and sort of the Appalachian, labor history.
Exactly.
And I know that there were a lot of Italian immigrants there. I looked into the mafia. While I was watching your documentary, I was like, what? And I started I paused it and I started Googling mob in West Virginia. And there was a whole vagabond kind of wandering nomad version of the Italian mafia in West Virginia that was sort of taking advantage of the Italian immigrants there. And while there's so much poverty in West Virginia, there's a ton of money to be made in the coal mines. So there's a real incentive for crime to be at work there. And I was sort of fascinated by your documentary. There are so many articles and news, microfiche or something. You got all these old archival newspaper things about organized crime in not just in West Virginia, but in Point Pleasant itself. And there's one I saw where it's which you go into that's saying that according to several mobbed up guys, the best place to kill someone and get away with it is Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Like, what's up with that?
It was a very I know, it was bizarre. And that anecdote was related to me by one of the film's cast members. And I'd no reason to disbelieve him. In fact, a couple more cast members after him, in some cases, cast members living now today, miles and miles away from him and all that kind of thing. They were saying the same anecdote, that they read a newspaper saying that about hitmen being very easy to find.
It's like
Point Pleasant.
Two different people said, I think, in the article, right? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, multiple sources, and then I found this newspaper article on just for free on what do you call it, Google News Archive search or something it's called. Yeah, and I think I don't know what I looked up. Just one night, just looked up maybe Point Pleasant Mafia, and I didn't find anything. It was very hard to find, but then eventually I did find this article that they were telling me about, and this was probably nearly a year after they told me. And I was like, oh, okay, so what they told me was true. This article did exist. Now, whether the claims in that article necessarily existed, I continued researching that and interviewing people, but the article they were talking about did exist. So I was pretty chuffed when I found that article. That's a
good
something to
find.
go on. Yeah.
And that wasn't the only one, right? There, you found a bunch of different stuff that's showing organized crime in Point Pleasant, didn't you? Like I kept seeing newspaper articles popping up on screen, and I was looking for stuff. Like one of the only things I could find online at a cursory look was, I think, you posting like about a year ago on Reddit or something like that about like, guys, did you know about this like organized crime feature of this place where a bunch of strange circumstances have been attributed to a giant moth? Like, did you know about this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do know the post you're referring to. Yeah, that would have been when I was probably I think I may have been letting people know that the documentary was on its way, and I was maybe saying something along the lines of, if you guys remember this story, here's this documentary coming out about it, kind of thing. Right. Sometimes I know that you might find Reddit posts that might be play acting, where it's like, oh guys, wow, did you see this weird documentary coming out, when it's actually like the director of the documentary. I didn't do anything like that. Don't worry.
No, this is like, I think you said in your thing, I'm working on a documentary right now. Like you were not being like shady about it, but I mean, like, because like I've had sort of this experience where I get really deep on some like niche, like, conspiracy or whatever, para-politics kind of thing, and I find something crazy like that, and then I'm like, no one has seen this. Lately I've been talking a lot about Epstein stuff, and I found a old newspaper, an old article that's been quoted a bunch of times from one of Epstein's victims, and it's only quoted in part, but I've never seen the full thing, so I bought it on eBay. And then I read the article, and there's so much that they took out of context and isn't like accurate. And I'm just like, oh my God, like no one has seen this thing. Like, you have this urge to get it out there. So I imagine that's sort of what you were experiencing when you came across this whole thing.
Sort of, yeah, sort of. I mean, it was one of those things where, it was just a matter of corroboration and that sort of thing, and trying to see what evidence there is for the stuff that the Los Angeles crew were telling me. And again, not that I disbelieved them, it's just that I was trying to do my due diligence. And the fact it was mostly during the pandemic made it even more complicated, because it was all on Zoom, but I managed. And then eventually...
Okay, I was wondering about your process. I was like, did you go to Point Pleasant, Virginia, or was it all like...
Eventually.
You eventually did?
Eventually.
Because you you like interviewed some people there, because I was sort of like not sure, because you got... So sorry, I'm a little bit out of order here. Maybe I should just let you finish making your point.
No, no. It's fine.
Like, so first of all, you got like, it appears that you got like all of the footage from the making and the behind the scenes of the failed Mothman film. So you were able to get that. And then, that included a bunch of interviews with like the colorful local kind of, townspeople. And then there were some clips that I was like, well, that looks a lot newer. And that seems like a lot like you're interviewing like the guy from Mothman Festival and stuff like that. And like, where I was like, that's got to be something that Matthew's done rather than something that he got from these old clips.
Exactly.
Interesting, man. So did you have any experience any weirdness when you were in Point Pleasant?
Funnily enough, not really, beyond the weird, bizarre, creepy stories that the locals told me about the town's past. I went there in the summer of 2023. All that footage from the 90s around 2022. So again, this kind of started in the pandemic, and then when that horrible period was over, the work continued, and then it was in 2023 that I flew over there. And as I said, beyond the creepy stuff they told me, not too many strange experiences. I did have some occasions where people would be kind of reluctant to talk about this history of organized crime in the town. On one occasion, someone actually jumped up. She jumped up from her seat and was just like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to talk about this. Let's just finish," and she just ran off, kind of thing. Stuff like that could be a little bit unnerving. And then she said to me, pleasantly, but at the same time, kind of as a warning, "I think you're digging into stuff you shouldn't be digging into, Matthew." And I was like, okay. But this individual, that isn't really the reaction I got necessarily from most of the locals. This individual was quite a hyperactive person and a bit sort of jittery and was going through a bit of a hard time, I think, in some ways. So most people didn't really react like that. But things like that would sometimes happen. There would sometimes be a reluctance to talk about this for obvious reasons, and also because the family are still around. And I don't mean that in a colloquial way. I mean like literally the children, the people who were involved in this. They don't want to be harassed, that kind of thing.
The children of the people who were involved in the which thing exactly? Like the
children of people who were involved in organized crime in Point Pleasant, linked to the Pittsburgh Mafia.
Gotcha. Okay, that's so crazy. So you had like a little taste of like what the Mothman crew from the Earthworm Jim guy and his friends kind of experienced, with people being like, "You shouldn't be talking about the Mothman," or whatever. Like, so
no, I didn't necessarily experience that. No, that person I mentioned was only talking on one occasion about the mafia history stuff. As I said, she was kind of one of the more hyperactive people, and she kind of was a bit of a eccentric individual, let's say. Most people didn't react like that. Sometimes there'd be a low key reluctance to talk about the mafia history. And as I said, though, it wasn't like in an aggressive way or a particularly unfriendly way. It was just kind of, look, children of people still involved in that still live in the town. I don't want them to feel that, that if you end up them putting this on the internet or whatever, I don't want them getting harassed, kind of thing. But no, there were no threats.
That's pretty reasonable. That's not really a threat.
Exactly. No, it was nothing like what the crew went through in 1997 when they flew to Point Pleasant to make their film. I mean, they were getting death threats when they Point Pleasant. They were getting death threats. Apparently, they were getting letters sent to the hotel they were staying in. You better get out of here or else.
Shady people were, following them and like watching them. And the guy showed up at the set with an AK-47. Like people dressed in black.
Yeah. And without revealing too much, it definitely got quite hairy. I mean, the guy showing up with an AK-47 in the middle of the night while the crew were filming, and this had been someone who had indicated he probably was involved in some sort of criminal activity, and that he just happens to be the one who shows up with a gun. Things like that, and very strange stuff. The director, Doug Tannam-Elgie, who wrote the movie as well that they were filming in the 90s, he had to phone his wife back in California, so nearly all the way across the country, and apparently had to phone his wife to change their phone number. I guess they'd been getting sort of threatening phone calls, like his wife had while Doug was in West Virginia. His wife, all the way back in Los Angeles, had been getting these threatening phone calls. I guess maybe people had looked him up in the yellow pages or whatever and started phoning his house or something. I don't know exactly. It's very weird anyway. And so obviously,
wow.
anecdotes like that really kind of to a reasonable degree, without wanting to be naive, I kind of wanted to dig into what exactly was going on in this town back then. And the findings are in the documentary. Some big connections to organized crime families, all the way up until probably the early 2000s when this was going on in Point Pleasant. So weird stuff.
So weird. I like that. One thing I'll say that I quite liked about your documentary, and I respect this whenever I see it in documentaries, is how you really have like a fly on the, or like maybe I should say a moth on the wall approach to it, where you're like, it's not like a Michael Moore documentary where you're like, you're putting yourself in front of the camera, or you're like putting your own narrative into it. It's really like you're editing together the interviews that you did with the people who were involved. You're using their footage and some of your own footage, and you're using you're sort of putting things together and letting the audience make up their own mind, kind of thing. Would you say that was your approach to it? Like, I like that. I respect that, because it rubs me the wrong way a lot of times when I see a documentary that's like clearly has like its own agenda, or maybe not agenda is kind of a loaded word, but like its own interpretation of events that it wants you to think. And you really didn't do that, right? Like, you kind of are, you're giving the audience all this information and sort of letting everybody's imagination run wild in a way that you could come away from it believing a really insane thing, or you could be like, you could be like a Mulder or a Scully, for like lack of a better like a word here, and I mean like, and which leads to like a complaint that I had about your film. You asked me before, is there anything that you like, any critiques? And
sure,
there's no way to like what I just said, like I actually do like, but I wish that because my immediate like impulse is like, oh my God, so this is probably like, I got an overactive imagination, obviously, but I immediately was like, so this must be why all of these deaths have been attributed to the Mothman. It's just like a way for the mob to cover up all their murders that they're doing over here. Like, that's what it is. Like, maybe then I started like going off into like, maybe the bridge collapse, as depicted in Hollywood movie, The Mothman Prophecies. Maybe that was like the mafia did that for some reason, like for, I don't know, insurance money or something. I don't know. Maybe that one's a little bit crazy, but you don't get into like anything like that. You don't even come close to approaching some sort of like super theory of the Mothman or anything. But I think, at least for me, you laid out enough to like get me going on it. And I was just curious, like, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you have a theory? Do you have a pet theory on it?
I think that's worth exploring, and I'd encourage people, after watching this documentary, then maybe it'll inspire people like yourself to go digging themselves into this sort of hidden side of Point Pleasant's history, which, as I said, is happening all the way until the early 2000s. I'd also say that I will continue putting up some articles in the future, digging into some of the organized crime activity that was happening in Point Pleasant, if people are interested. And I'll do that at some point in the near future. So, that's what I'd say to that. There's a lot to explore there, I can tell you. You should see my notes. I mean, there is a lot. Weird stuff that happened. I won't bore you. I won't, go into every little detail, because you may not like that, but I will tell you that there have been strange disappearances, strange deaths during the 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s in Point Pleasant. And there's some very strange stories like that people might want to look into.
Like, I mean, after which? Oh, after watching yours, of course.
Yeah.
Right, of course. I always have thought, and I have a very kind of like, layman's understanding of the Mothman as a cryptid or whatever, but like when I was a kid, I had like these books about, like, I was just interested in like books about like whatever Bigfoot and 1001 crazy mythological beasts or whatever, and I always remember thinking like the Mothman was like a little bit weirder than the other guys, because he is not just like a weird fucking creature. He's got a friend, like a human-ish friend. This guy, Indrid Cold, I think his name is. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Indrid Cold, and he's like described as like almost, it seems like an FBI guy or something. Like he's like a man in black, basically, who's like, you'll see the Mothman, and then Indrid Cold will be like, you didn't see nothing, or something like that. Like he'll show up and like and then Indrid Cold is a sort of a character in the Mothman Prophecies movie. So it's not like it's not like Bigfoot. It's like if Bigfoot walked around with like a fucking like an agent or something, like, you know, like Bigfoot had like a manager, like a guy in a suit who spoke to people on his behalf and stuff like that. Like that's sort of what I always thought was weird about Mothman, and sort of made him like less interesting to me as than like the other guys who are just like, yeah, there's a big fucking snake that lives in the water here. It's huge. You know, it's like whatever, you know, oh, there's a giant monkey that like can talk and it, you know, it lives in the mountains or whatever. No, this guy's got like a human friend who like covers its tracks for it. And now that I've watched your movie, I'm like, yo, Indrid Cold, he's a mafia guy. And then when I'm thinking about like his whole thing where he prophesied, like the Mothman prophecies, he's like, whatever, he's giving all this, you will die in 13 days or whatever. You know, if you look at it in the Mothman prophecies way, it's like, how does the Mothman always know when people are going to die? It's magic. But now that I'm thinking about for the mob thing, I'm like, well, that just sounds like a pretty pretty standard mafia guy threat, you know? Maybe not a supernatural thing. Maybe it's just like a guy who's like, no, I'm going to kill you. I don't know.
Exactly.
What do you think about my crazy Mothman theory?
Well, I think that's a very good point, and I think that those little stories people would hear sometimes about the men in black, you know, walking up to people in Point Pleasant who thought they saw the Mothman and saying, hey, you didn't see anything, and if you did, then there's going to be trouble. As you said, very, very stereotypical and standard mob kind of threat thing. Who knows what those men in black were in the 60s in John Keel's book, but definitely after making this project, you know, it makes me scratch my head, like you were saying earlier, and kind of think, you know, were these men in black really aliens, or were they maybe something a bit more human, like, it kind of went from there. So I think there's a lot to explore there. And you know, someone called Tanner Boyle, who's a very good researcher. Have you ever come across him? He's done some articles about Point Pleasant.
No,
have you come across his work?
I don't believe I have. Tanner Boyle?
He has a Substack called Getting Spooked, and he kind of explores Point Pleasant in the 60s and some of the, like what you were mentioning earlier, kind of the sort of labor unions activity and going on in the area, the 60s, and these men in black kind of appearing to, I don't know, maybe at least two of the people active in that activity. And Tanner was kind of wondering, was like, you know, maybe this men in black stuff, was it maybe some sort of covert operation to quell labor activity back then? I don't know.
And that makes so much sense too. Like, and that could be another reason why the mafia would be involved in, West Virginia to begin with, is like, fucking like, for union busting, the mafia was a classic place for, you know, business owners to go, and like these coal capitalists for them to hire mafia guys. Like they'd hire Pinkertons in like whatever the 20s, and those guys are basically mafia. But like,
it's a good point. It makes you wonder. Yeah, I mean, it really adds a whole. I mean, watching this documentary really adds a whole new dimension to John Keel's book, to the Richard Gere movie. As a matter of fact,
John Keel's book, that's the like Mothman Prophecies, right? The
Mothman Prophecies. Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking up Tanner. I'm trying to look up Tanner Boyle right now, and I'm just getting. I guess it's a character from the Bad News Bears movie, but
I didn't know that with the Bad News Bears. I've never even heard of that. Maybe find him like somewhere there.
Old kids baseball movie, but it's but Tanner Boyle, like, is it TannerBoyle? Tanner Boyle? I spelling that right?
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh,
If you
weird.
look up, where have you got it there? Tanner Boyle Getting Spooked.
Oh,
You might
Getting
find
Spooked.
it that
Let me
way.
try that.
Sure. And I'm going to post just to let you
here it
know
is.
the movie is now live on my Substack for paid subscribers. So I'll
Congrats.
drop a link.
Movie premiere.
Sure, thank you. I'll drop a little link in the chat. It may look a bit messy. Perhaps you'll be able to.
Sorry, because I have my chat set up, so I gotta fix this. You can't.
That's all right.
Other people can't send links. Just shoot me the link on Discord. I'll pop it up on.
Aha. Sure. Okay. No problem. That should be fine. Yeah, I think I'll be able to do that. 1 second now.
So I've
Okay.
got
Anyway, what?
Tanner Boyle Getting
Yeah.
Spooked. Okay, no, I don't know this guy. Okay, I will definitely follow him.
He does great work.
Yeah. Cool.
So that'll be, it's kind of a nice compliment to the documentary for me. It's like if you read his work, and then it'll kind of get you thinking, what was going on back in Point Pleasant in the day, and then watch my documentary, and it'll add to Tanner's excellent work, and it'll complement it nicely. So there's some good way of doing it there. Yeah.
What the heck is this? A JFK Mothman connection? Oh.
I didn't see that. That's new to me. I didn't actually see that. That's
This is from Tanner Boyle's Twitter from 2023. Did you send me the link? Here, send me the link. I'll just read this out because it sounds crazy.
Sure.
So Tanner Boyle says, as tempting as it is to connect David Ferry, Craig Chrisman, etc., to the Point Pleasant high strangeness with Mothman and Indrid Cold, why speculate that it was specifically Ferry and Chrisman when it could be any random spook involved? Okay, so he's actually criticizing this, I guess. But this is from this book, Most Dangerous, a true story with JFK. A JFK Mothman connection? West Virginia native and investigator, author, filmmaker Andrew Colvin ties together military intelligence and the nearby Defense Logistics Agency, as well as industrial concerns such as IG Farben, Union Carbide, General Motors, and others, pointing to the possible use of a paranormal UFO MIB, Men in Black, guise as a cover for post-war military-industrial projects. Okay. In fact, some researchers assert that the architects who designed the World War II TNT factory outside Point Pleasant also worked on both the Manhattan Project and the fabled Area 51. Other researchers have even gone so far as to posit an actual JFK Mothman link, asserting that certain suspected JFK assassination figures were active in Point Pleasant during the Mothman Silver Bridge incident, claiming, for example, that David Ferry was likely Mothman's fright wig MIB. Okay, or that... What would be the fright wig MIB? Is that Indrid Cold, I guess? Or that CIA pilot Fred Chrisman was involved with both events, believing that the evidence points toward an international military intelligence FBI mobster banker operation emanating partly out of Ohio and neighboring Toronto. I don't know what Toronto they're talking about. It's not the Toronto I ever heard of.
This is actually I've never read before, so this is kind of new to me. It's I'd recommend starting with the article he did. He did a series of them. I think it's called Indrid Cold Reconsidered.
Oof. Okay, that sounds like exactly what I'm looking for after watching your documentary.
Yeah.
But so
exactly.
on his Substack, I'm guessing.
Yeah, on his Substack, and he's got a few of them open for all, and then a few of them under a paywall, and it's really good stuff. So I'd encourage people to subscribe to Tanner Boyle as well to read the whole series. There's some great stuff there.
Oh wow! So it's like a 9-part series or something. That's okay.
Something like that.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
A lot of information. Very, very interesting, and definitely this sort of thing. I was on a podcast last year with on this podcast called Astonishing Legends. And the guy who was on with me was actually the screenwriter for the Richard Gere Mothman Prophecies film. And the reason I mention that is because...
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that to boast. The reason I'm saying it is because this documentary does kind of add a new way of looking at the Richard Gere film and the John Keel book. And I think it's kind of interesting that... he was Richard Hatem as his name. I think it's interesting. Even he was he was so intrigued by what was coming up in this documentary, as were Scott and Forrest, the hosts of Astonishing Legends. Are you familiar with Astonishing Legends, the podcast?
Yeah, yes, I'm familiar with it. I haven't heard
Yeah,
that one.
it's good. Yeah, they do good stuff, and we do nice conversations. So I'd be very eager to talk to them again sometime now that this documentary's fine. By the way, you and your listeners might know the Mothman Festival. It was entering its second day today. It was the annual festival.
So you premiered it at the Mothman Festival, your documentary?
Yeah, the one last year, the festival last year.
Interesting.
So that was a really nice event, and I gave a little talk before it about the organized crime kind of history in the town. Actually, that talk is on my Substack as well, Commendable Commotion. But the film expands on that a lot, and so that was really nice. I had a lovely time. That was in September of 2024. And we showed the film there publicly for the first time. Really enjoyed it, and it's terrific, just terrific. Great reception. People loved it. Cool. West Virginians loved it. People from way outside West Virginia loved it. So I was really pleased. I was really pleased. So, but yeah, Richard Haytham, the screenwriter of Mothman Prophecies, he is at this year's festival, talking to people this year. So. Yeah, which if anyone happens to see, are you on IMDb there? Oh yeah, IMDb.
Yeah.
Richard Haytham.
There
he is. Richard Haytham. Yeah.
And so he's okay. So what did you like? What? Sorry, what did you think about that movie, The Mothman Prophecies? Are you a fan? You think it's good?
I personally loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I saw it more recently, and I also enjoyed it just as much as I did when I was younger. I liked the fact that it wasn't obvious as to what was stalking the Richard Gere character.
Yeah.
It was psychological.
It's sort of like when I was a kid and I was like, Mothman's weird. Mothman's a weird cryptid. Like, he's not as fun as like Bigfoot or Ogopogo. But I sort of had like a similar reaction when I watched the Mothman Prophecies, because I'm like, cool, there's going to be a Mothman, a giant moth guy. And there isn't really. People have like visions of it, but it's mostly about like it's almost like, I don't know, sort of similar vibe to like, what was that movie, The Ring, where people watch like this film and they die or whatever? It's like prophecies. Like the emphasis on the prophecies rather than like the Mothman.
It's similar idea, not making it clear what exactly is happening. Is it in Richard Gere's head, or is it an actual paranormal phenomenon? And all these locals saying they saw something strange as well. And similarly with this experience of making this documentary, it was multiple different people saying, oh yeah, I knew that guy, and I was told that he could, make your life miserable. Some of the locals told me, and he could, I knew some guys who could, for $50, could kill someone. All these stories started blending together for me when I was in Point Pleasant in 2023. So certainly a sort of non-paranormal version in some ways. The Richard Gere character experienced in the film, except I wasn't necessarily going crazy, but it was definitely quite a weird journey altogether. So yeah.
No, the Mothman. It's like it's more of a true crime story perhaps than it's a mafia story. It's like we call this guy Jimmy the Moth. He's a big moth.
Sure.
He's got big red eyes.
It's certainly, I would say, this element of Point Pleasant is definitely more a human organized crime story rather than a supernatural story. But who knows? I don't know what was behind the sightings in the 60s. I should mention as well, on the Discord link, on the Discord chat, I've put the link that you asked for. But
I threw the link to the thing in the chat there for the direct.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I was just letting you know because you asked me. No problem. Thank you. It's very good of you. So I mean, what did you think of the Mothman Prophecies film, the Richard Gere one?
I mean, yeah, like I haven't seen it in a little while, but like I said, I don't know. I guess I was hoping for more of a monster movie, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. I feel like maybe I went in with the wrong expectations. But no, it's definitely creepy. Like it's definitely whatever. it's got like they do incorporate the Indrid Cold side of the thing. It's not just about the Mothman. It's like these sort of prophecies of death and stuff. There's kind of a pretty cool, crazy twist ending at the end. I guess, is that a twist ending? I mean, there's a surprise, I guess. But I didn't even realize until I watched your documentary that the bridge collapse was a real thing. I thought that was just like, I don't know, something that they put in the movie for a plot point, but no, that really happened.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry for shoving that harsh dose of reality onto you. Yeah, that was a real tragedy that happened, and I heard it was quite difficult for some of the locals, watching that Richard Gere film at the end of it, or at least one local in particular. Yeah. Carolyn Harris. Have you heard that name before? She was she helped set up the Mothman Festival in the early 2000s.
Cool. Was she in your documentary?
Yeah. She owned the diner. That diner.
Okay. That's right.
Grew off
you talk about her and how people were surprised that she was working with the film crew.
Yeah, exactly. Because her husband and I think one of her children died in the Silver Bridge collapse. I think Jeff Walmsley, who's the owner of the museum there in Point Pleasant, said it was very difficult for her seeing that scene in the Richard Gere film. I don't think she even saw it. I think she knew it was coming, so she just left. And I can understand that. Now, she's sadly no longer with us. I never got to meet her, but the crew from Los Angeles did, and they heard some interesting things from her, let's say. But can't go into that too much because she was very kind to them and was very helpful to them. But the town has a very dark history. The Silver Bridge collapse is just one element of it. So a lot has happened to this town, but it's really come up since then, as you can see from the festival and all the tourism internationally that it gets, from people.
It's more like the Mothman money or whatever. People say, like, I don't know if I believe in the Mothman, but I believe in the Mothman money.
Exactly. That's what the head of tourism for the town said to me, and you'll see his interview at the doc. And he had very interesting things to say about the town's sort of hidden past in relation to organized crime. Denny Bellamy is his name. You might recognize him from all the other films and documentaries that have been made about the Mothman legend. And he's never talked about this publicly before on television or anything like that. So it was great kind of getting his participation. It was great getting him.
Yeah. Really interesting.
None of this has been talked about publicly before I started talking about it. And it's a side of Pleasant's history that's quite hidden, and for whatever reason people didn't want the public knowing, even after it was over, apparently, in the early 2000s. I should mention as well, the Mothman Festival started in the early 2000s. All the tourism gradually came in around then too, because that was when the Richard Gere film was made. That also just so happened to be when the mob activity finished. The mob activity, supposedly, I don't know, but that's.
I would assume that that town becoming famous for the Mothman would make it a lot less attractive as like this quiet little place. It's called Point Pleasant. No one's going to expect us to be killing people there. It's totally safe. Like,
yeah, I'd be very interested in knowing what happened. And funnily enough, there's no evidence that this particular man was involved in any organized crime, but one of the people interviewed in this documentary, John Musgrave, so he was the head of the Economic Development Authority for Point Pleasant. Several months after I interviewed him, he came under investigation by the state police. Or at least the development authority that he headed came under investigation. I don't know if he was under investigation specifically. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but there's no evidence he was involved with organized crime.
Huh.
So
crazy.
That was, yeah. And he's since resigned now from the economic board of Point Pleasant. So I don't know. He's an elderly man, so maybe he was just getting tired. But I certainly don't know quite what's going on there. He said he wasn't. Well, you'll see what he says in the documentary about the organized crime past the town has. So yeah, it was a crazy journey making this particular film.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
can
happy
only
to
imagine.
answer any questions that you might have about it. I mean, if there's any of the history that you might be interested in about the mafia in Point Pleasant, I don't know, or anything.
Yeah, I'm curious to know more about like your process. I feel like because like you must have had like from watching your documentary. I'm guessing you must have had to go through like hours and hours and hours of the footage from the Mothman film, and I'm just like curious how you got that footage, like what it was like going through everything. I mean, you interviewed everyone, you reached out to everyone, and you dug up all these old newspaper articles. Like you've really gone deep here. Like what is your process like for all this? Do you know what I mean? Like how did it all come together?
I really love the research process. So what I did was basically I just sort of started by finding people who were involved in this particular production. Jay Holben, the producer, was the first one I interviewed. I just contacted him via his website. And then I, kind of went from there. He recommended people. And I also used things like newspapers.com to find, newspaper articles.
Like I use that site a lot too, but it's sometimes it's frustrating. But it has a lot of stuff. But
it can be very handy. And it wasn't just newspapers.com. I also used the Google news search or whatever it's called, which is entirely free, which was great. And they have issues of the Point Pleasant Register from the 1990s and 80s. And that was when.
Okay. That's what you're saying. That's when you found the one where it's like the best place to kill someone.
Exactly. Yeah, I began through. It was a long process, but they were not easy to find. But I gradually was able to find some articles that corroborated the things that the locals were telling me. Nothing explicit, nothing saying that the mob was active in Point Pleasant or anything like that. That wasn't in the media at all. But stories that one local I saw was saying something about one local told me about someone from Wheeling, West Virginia, which was the Pittsburgh mob's main hub in West Virginia.
Is it Google News Initiative or Google's News? Sorry, I was just trying to find it. But...
Google News Archive. Google News Archive. I think if you just look up Google newspapers, there should be a link there.
Cool.
Yeah, but basically what happened was I found these newspaper articles that were talking about, people occasionally, some strange disappearance in Point Pleasant in the 80s or someone being murdered in the 70s, and nothing, apparently no convictions. No one was found who did it, kind of thing. And in some of these stories, they matched up with what some locals told me about the town's past, about this or that person who met a sticky end, as it were, that kind of thing. To give you an example, one local who I became very close to was very kind, very helpful, Jan Haddocks, and he was great with this production, very accommodating. He's lived in Point Pleasant all his life. He's an artist and a former teacher, as a matter of fact, in the area, and former university tutor as well. He told me that someone, he had heard a story about this kind of thing, and another local told me about someone named Jesse Anderson from Wheeling, West Virginia, who drove down all the way to Point Pleasant and then just across the river, apparently to rob someone. And this was in the late 1980s. And he was shot when this happened. And the guy was acting in self-defense, apparently. So, there were no charges. It's unclear why exactly Jesse Anderson drove all the way from Wheeling to the Point Pleasant general area just to rob someone.
That's crazy.
I was told...
Yeah, what's the distance there?
Couldn't give you the numbers, but it's a big distance, probably 5-hour drive. I don't know what, but I was told by some locals that Jesse Anderson frequently visited Point Pleasant, and it's been documented by police, by the FBI, that Jesse Anderson was an associate of the Pittsburgh Mafia. Those were the sorts of things that corroborated what the Los Angeles crew were telling me and what the locals at Point Pleasant were telling me. So that was sort of my process of doing the research for this project.
Looks like it's like a 3.5 hour drive from Pittsburgh to
that's
straight to the Mothman Museum.
Yeah. Right, yeah. There was no Mothman Museum when Jesse Anderson was shot, or any of these people allegedly involved in organized crime. Locals told me that Jesse Anderson would come to Point Pleasant and sell stolen goods on behalf of the Pittsburgh mob's main man in West Virginia, who's talked a bit about in the documentary. Paul Hankish was his name. Paul No Legs Hankish, because he had his legs blown off in an attempted assassination. So that's the sort of weirdness.
No Legs Hankish.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh mob's main man in West Virginia. And I was told by Chris Reiser, who's the president of the Main Street Point Pleasant program, I believe, or the executive director of their business kind of initiative in Point Pleasant. He told me that Paul Hankish was frequently in Point Pleasant as well. And this was a big mobster. He was arrested in 1990. And convicted for all his drug running and racketeering, illegal gambling. And he was frequently in Point. Yeah.
Interesting. All these these mob connections.
Yeah, and his guy, Paul Hankish's main guy, was in Point Pleasant, and I can't say his name because he's still got family members who live in the town. But that particular family, that particular guy, was running a lot of illegal gambling operations in Point Pleasant when the crew from Los Angeles went to Point Pleasant to make their horror movie in 1997, which brings us to this particular documentary that I've just released on my Substack. And they did not know what they were running into, no idea. So
that's nuts. I just want to say, I think it's sort of unsettling how like ripped the Mothman statue is in Point Pleasant. Like, I would be concerned with the guy that made this and be like, "Do you?"
I know.
Into the Mothman? Why did you make him? Why did you give him an 8-pack?
Right. Yeah, it's this is one of those situations where the statue fell on top of someone and killed. Was that somewhere else that happened? Oh no, I don't think that happened.
Oh, okay.
I think it was dead. You ever hear that story in Denver about the big statue of the horse and the head fell on top of its sculptor and killed him? You ever hear that story?
Oh no, I didn't hear that. That's messed up. That horse wanted.
So that never happened. So don't worry, but it would have made things even worse if it did happen. That statue was made in 2004 or 2003 or something. Again, all the Mothman tourism happened. After the Richard Gere film, but also by coincidence, apparently, after the mafia activity died out in the area.
Interesting.
So, I don't know, was that a coincidence or what? I don't know.
It might be connected, but during like the 60s when there was all the original kind of sightings and stuff, there wasn't, I take it, like a lot of tourism to the town at that point.
No, I don't think in the 60s there would have been. Now, the mob activity was happening, but the tourism stuff I don't think was happening. I mean, if it was, then nothing like it was happening today.
If there's like a movie going on about it, it's fun. There's a bunch of mysterious deaths and stuff going on in this town. It's not necessarily like a fun place to visit, I guess. Cool.
Back in the day, well, some people.
Yeah. Guys, definitely check out this documentary. It's only $5 for the subscription to the Commendable Commotion Substack, and you get not only this documentary but like everything else that you've been posting. You've got all kinds of stuff on here. Before we go, I would love to hear a little bit, if you don't mind, about your sort of research into Stanley Kubrick and the making of Eyes Wide Shut, and like maybe some of the interesting things you discovered about that process and that, like, the intentions behind that film.
Yeah, so I mean, that film has always fascinated me for some reason. Eyes Wide Shut. It's personally my favorite Stanley Kubrick film.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why. Yeah,
interesting,
yeah, just
interesting.
the atmosphere is. Do you have any favorite film of his yourself?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, I love Doctor Strangelove. Uh, I love 2001. But I mean, yeah, Eyes Wide Shut. I like it. I like it a lot. It's a great movie, but I wouldn't call it my favorite. But that's an interesting choice. Interesting choice. But I think it's probably I think it's maybe one of Tom Cruise's best performances. It's like this and Magnolia.
Yes, it is one of those things that a lot of people didn't like it when it came out, but now a lot of people are beginning to like it more and more. So it really is a mysterious film. And then obviously, about the, the sort of the fact that it was Kubrick's last film. He didn't actually live to see it released in the cinemas, which was very sad. So anyway, I happened to be in Italy and I traveled to meet his former personal assistant, a man named Emilio D'Alessandro. And it was great talking to him and his friend. Yeah, in Italy, in a place called Casino. But that wasn't a casino, as in like the sort of thing we've been talking about earlier. Yeah. It's so it was great talking to him, and he told me some interesting things about the making of Eyes Wide Shut. Very weird things actually quite similar to the Lost Mothman film discussed in my documentary. You can listen to that on my Substack as well, or on my YouTube channel, Commendable Commotion. You can hear me talk about what Emilio told me. To give people a bit of a hint as to what happened, essentially, Emilio told me that let's see, what was one of the things he told me? Well, they were being followed during the making of Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, they were getting threats and intimidation and stuff. You were saying?
I can't remember if they were necessarily
threats, but like people were.
I mean, they were
the same car was following them and stuff.
Yes, exactly. Someone in a white Fiat Uno was constantly following Emilio when he was working for Stanley Kubrick on the film, and this white Fiat Uno would turn up on the set of Eyes Wide Shut, and Emilio talked about this to Stanley Kubrick, and Kubrick advised him to, take all precautions necessary, things like that. And certainly, it's interesting. I don't know what exactly this car was there for, but one of the things that I did read an excerpt from a book written by an ex-Scientologist who said that the Scientologists were, a couple of them were sent out to England to stalk Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, allegedly, because they were worried that Cruise was having second thoughts, potentially, about being a Scientologist. So I don't know, was this Fiat Uno anything to do with that? But a lot of things were happening speaking of that film.
Is the Scientology sort of they're sort of I don't know, they have some weird tactics, some kind of mob like stuff that they do to their members, but I don't know. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's very strange. Strange things were happening during the production of that film, and I think that there's a lot to be explored about the making of Eyes Wide Shut, and you'll hear more of those anecdotes that Emilio told me in the little interview that's there.
Sorry, I was looking for it. I couldn't quite find it on your YouTube page, but what's the name of it?
It's just near the top there. It's called Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, there we go.
Mohammed Fayed and the death of Prince Diana. You're probably wondering why.
The funny thing about the white Fiat Uno, right?
Yeah, exactly. And certainly Emilio wasn't jumping to any conclusions, and neither am I hope. But it was it was a weird coincidence. This was all happening about maybe a month or two after Princess Diana died. Princess Diana was rumored to, I think, be engaged, was it? I'm not too familiar with the story, with the son of someone named Mohammed Al Fayed.
Right.
And yeah, so it's you'll hear about this in the interview there. It was on an episode of The Farm by Steven Snyder, so you can find it on his podcast as well. It was kind of a joint release, so either check out The Farm or check out Commendable Commotion, and your listeners will be able to hear what Emilio D'Alessandro told me. Very weird stuff during the making of Kubrick's final film. Very strange stuff.
Yeah, it's a really really interesting interview. But yeah, the white Fiat Uno that was following them around a month after Princess Diana died. There's also a big kind of conspiracy movement around Princess Diana's death and this white Fiat Uno that was seen at the scene of the crime, and like who was driving that? Who was that? Like were they involved? What something along those lines, and for there to be the same car in during the making of Eyes Wide Shut.
Well, it sounds like a very ludicrous, dare I say, conspiracy.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit silly.
But I will say that, I certainly haven't saying there was any link, but it's a creepy coincidence, and
it's like these
people
elites
will find
that control the world. They're like, they've only got one car. Like only one of them drives. And he's like, sorry, you're the only one that drives. You got to be the guy that chases. You got to kill Princess Diana, and you got to go chase around the guys who were making Eyes Wide Shut. Okay. He's like, some of you guys got to get your licenses, okay? Fine, I'll do it this time.
I don't know how strapped for cash these people were, but anyway, what have I told you that Mohammed Al Fayed, so Princess Diana's sort of would-be father-in-law, some would say, someone in Kubrick's family, or a friend of Kubrick's family, said she was treated very badly by Mohammed Al Fayed, and so that's why Mohammed Al Fayed was beginning to have concerns about Stanley Kubrick and what he may have known.
Interesting.
That much has been documented. That much has been documented.
I mean, it's not very hard to believe that he treated somebody badly. Like this guy was like a sort of like an abusive monster, right?
Yeah, that's apparently what has come out now that he's deceased. And these stories were coming out even before he was deceased, but he was very, very litigious, and he had the money to be litigious. He was very, very litigious. People were afraid. And when he died, even more of these stories came out, a whole flood of them. Quite a shady character, Mohammed Al Fayed, and someone in Kubrick's family. A friend of Kubrick and the family. Apparently was someone who may have been abused by Mohammed Al Fayed, and so Al Fayed was concerned what Kubrick knew. Was from what I've been told, and he was concerned that Kubrick was maybe going to point towards him in some way in Eyes Wide Shut. Now, look, I don't know, is Kubrick going to do that or not, but Mohammed Al Fayed was quite a paranoid individual.
And a very powerful man.
And a very powerful man, so, that's the story anyway.
It's sort of like the Catch and Kill book by Ronan Farrow. Have you read that?
I've never actually read that, but you've reminded me.
You would love it. It's right up your alley. It's all about like entertainment industry and like true crime. It's a real kind of confluence of those two areas, and the way that powerful people. It's mostly about what's his name, Harvey Weinstein. But it also gets into like other powerful men. Donald Trump is mentioned in there, and he uses these same networks. And the way they use this sort of like mercenary company called Black Cube that's run by a bunch of former Israeli Mossad guys to like stalk and harass and frighten people into like journalists into dropping stories, witnesses or like victims of crimes to like not speak to journalists. Like they do all this shady kind of like, secret kind of stuff behind the scenes. It's interesting. I mean, it's extra interesting to have a sort of conspiracy like this involved with Eyes Wide Shut, like especially in light of like, I guess, like you said at the time, I don't think it was, people were like, what is this like fantastical thing? You really think that the very rich have depraved sex parties with each other? You really think that, or whatever? And now it's like, what the only thing you get when you watch Eyes Wide Shut, like when I've watched it recently in like the last few years anyway, I've been like, this is like so tame. Like, it's like they're like at these parties they're all wearing masks. It's like they can't even like kiss or like eat each other out or anything. It's just like, this is like very fucking like PG elite billionaire orgies, I gotta say. Like, you got like a pianist.
I was told by someone who worked on the film that there were scenes that were removed, but again, this person who told me
that's so interesting.
I don't know what scenes this person meant specifically, but it was implied that it may have been because they were more extreme than what was shown in the film. I do have some shots, nothing, sort of weird or extreme or anything. Just some shots of Tom Cruise trying on a mask. That was it was a shot that was unused from the film. I got hold of that shot very kindly from the archive, but I need permission to publish it. So I'm trying to get that permission from the Kubrick estate. Certainly, I'm not saying there's any link between Princess Diana's death and Eyes Wide Shut verifiably, but I think it's an interesting confluence of events, and it tells a very interesting story of what was happening in the 90s and entertainment culture back in those days, so I'd encourage people to check that out. I don't know what was really going on, but it was weird stuff, and it's an interesting story.
Cool.
Muhammad Al-Fayed versus Stanley Kubrick. Muhammad Al-Fayed versus Kubrick, so it's quite a story.
It is quite a story. That is really interesting. And I mean, like, regardless if it was Muhammad Al-Fayed or if it was somebody else, like, it's just interesting that happens to occur during the making of this particular film. Do we know much about what Kubrick's like intention was with this movie? Like, what was he trying to expose something? Did he ever get a chance to kind of like talk about this, or?
So Tony Zierra, who's a film director, he made a documentary about the making of Eyes Wide Shut. It's called SK-13, Kubrick's Endgame, I think is the title. He was told, Tony Zierra was told while making his film that, as I said earlier, that Muhammad Al-Fayed was worried about being exposed in Eyes Wide Shut. So,
okay, Muhammad Al-Fayed.
Make of that what you will. Whether Kubrick was really going to do that, I don't know. But that was what Muhammad Al-Fayed was worried about. As I said, he was quite a paranoid individual. Now, I talked to Tony Zierra, and he expanded on that and told me where he heard that kind of thing. And that's what led me to meet Emilio D'Alessandro in Italy.
Oh, interesting. And, cool, man.
Yeah.
So you really do a lot of traveling for your work. You're like, okay, I gotta go to Italy. I gotta go to West Virginia. I gotta go here.
I on both occasions, I just happened to be there. On one occasion, I remember I was doing a conference that was fully subsidized by the university that I'm in, which was great. So I happened to be there, did some filming. Not of the conference, but for a documentary I'm making. So sometimes the stars align,
Cool. SK-13, Kubrick's Endgame. Yep, that looks interesting. Got the little Illuminati triangle on the cover there.
Well, don't be fooled by the poster. It's a very sort of evidence-based documentary, really. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
He's a good researcher, Tony Zierra. He's a good researcher. So that's. I'd encourage people to watch that as well as Mothman, the film that never was, and it's quite a trip. I think people will enjoy it. So yeah.
Awesome. Yes, definitely, guys. Got to check out the Substack. I'll throw that link in there one more time. Again, only five doll hairs for the Sorry, it's so hard to talk and like navigate all these different like screens and stuff at the same time. But
that's exactly what I'm doing. Exactly, it's very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. You're monitoring your release and everything. So I'll post that in the thing again. So Matthew, it's been great chatting with you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for reaching out, and happy to have you on here. Really enjoyed your documentary. Very much recommend it to my audience here and anyone. Anything else that you want to say or plug or mention before we head out?
Well, I just want to thank you for having me on. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I know there was a delay on my part as well, so I'm very grateful for you accommodating.
No worries, man. It's a big day for you. You got your official public premiere.
And I've got an exam tomorrow in the master's degree of 24, so it's busy. It's busy, but it's going well.
You're in school right now too?
Well, I'm in college, yeah. So it's got a lot of stuff,
Oh, geez,
but all I'd say is I'd encourage people to to subscribe to Commendable Commotion on Substack just for $5 a month, and they'll be able to see this documentary, all of it, and it'll lead them down a lot of rabbit holes, but very evidence-based, this documentary is.
Yes.
So people,
this is not a crazy, like, out there, late night History Channel ancient aliens like documentary or something like that. It's very, very grounded in reality and documentary evidence and interviews with people who were there, and very, very cool. Very cool stuff. I've been trying to figure out how pilled you are this whole interview, and you've really got it. You've got a good, like, well, I would never say anything.
You
can check out this other guy that said something, but I would never personally. I would never say it. But,
you got to be careful, but genuinely, genuinely, it's part of the fun of doing this project has been trying to see what evidence there is for the stuff that people said to me about what was going on in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. That was part of the fun of it. So as you probably find yourself when making your videos, and it's always when you find something that's of great use to you, research wise, it's always a great feeling, so definitely it was a great experience making this. So thanks so much for having me on, and everyone check out Commendable Commotion, subscribe to see Mothman, the film that never was. Only $5 to subscribe, so it's I'd happily have it be lower, but that is the minimum that Substack wants.
Is that
wants
right?
Me to.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
$5, eh?
People can go off and subscribe to it, and they'll enjoy it. They'll enjoy it. So thanks very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem at all, dude. Anytime. And excited to hear about some of the other projects you've got. You're working on in the future. You said you've got some other stuff in the pipe. Can you give us like a tease of maybe about the next thing you've got? Next thing you might be putting out?
Well, there is another documentary that I'm pleased to say will be of a similar format to this Mothman film that never was documentary. I'll just say for now that this next documentary is about the world's most watched unaired television production, some would say. And it was filmed in a little place called do you know where it was filmed? It was filmed in Omaha, Nebraska. So that might give people an idea of what it is, but people can look out for that. And there's plenty of stuff over on Commendable Commotion. The podcast series. Plenty of commotion stuff. Now there's the Panic in Bethel Park, which is a little true crime podcast series that's on my Substack, and episode 1 of that is out. It's about the personal background of Thomas Crooks. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
The shooter.
The shooter, exactly. Who, some would say we don't know much about, and this podcast I made really kind of gives some new details about his family background. Very intriguing things. Very intriguing things about his background. So people can see that on Commendable Commotion too. That's free. That's all for free. So that's what I've got coming. Episode 2 of that will be coming out soon. The Panic in Bethel Park, episode 2. So soon.
Awesome.
Soon.
Great, man. Well, thank you so much, and everyone, thank you for watching.